CuntCast podcast is rated not safe for work. Urban Dictionary describes it as internet content generally inappropriate for the typical workplace, i.e., would not be acceptable in the presence of your boss and colleagues. All of these definitions apply. As a result, we will provide you with 15 seconds of pleasant, non-offensive music for you to advance to the next program, acquire headphones, or lock all available doors and windows for a proper sensual CuntCast experience. Please, be safe out there and enjoy the program.
Good evening, fellow sexual subjects. You're now listening to a broadcast of the CuntCast podcast, a conversation with a classily characterized cunt, carefully crafted with cognizant courage to champion conscientious consummation. And we are all silently screaming. I'm your host, Jailery, and I am joined, as always, with my favorite human being, Mr. Aaron Rand Freeman. What's good?
Howdy. I am also silently screaming, which is...
Yeah, like I was literally asking you what is good because I have forgotten what it feels like to feel good.
We're just going to have to piece it together for a little bit.
We're just going to have to fake it.
Yeah, we're going to have to... we're going to have to kind of hold on to it. It's why I always say we should be kind to yourself because you don't have any coping mechanisms. So we usually put ourselves through the ringer as per the requirements of our capitalist society. And then you have your coping mechanism. You go outside, you go for a drink, you play this, you go out, you go for a walk. There are a million things that we do that we can no longer do, so we can no longer bounce back. So it's like if you need to have respect the refractory period of yourself doing things now.
Yeah, I'm literally up to I will complete 3 tasks.
Right.
That is my limit.
Right.
And I feel like I'm a little jealous of other people because I now live with my parents. So if you're bored, everybody else can jerk off. I can't, or at least I don't feel comfortable.
Right.
With my parents, and they're retired. Well, my mom's retired. My dad works from home. So they're always home. And even if they had to go to work, I'd be too worried about them to do it anyway. So I feel like everybody's getting off right now except me.
You know what it is? I don't know how you do it with your parents, but there has to be a window of time with which they are not bothering you. Like a day where it's understood that you're just not being, because you're a human being. There's a few hours a day, even if you want to speak to someone, where you just don't have access to them. And I don't know how you communicate that with your parents, because everyone's parents and everyone's living situation is different, but that is definitely necessary. So you can, masturbate at some point during the day.
I mean, not during the day. It'd have to be at night. But then I don't know. It just feels weird. And now, before I was just completely uninterested, but now I feel like I'm getting chaotically quarantine horny, where it's before it was always an option, and now suddenly it's not.
Right.
Also kill you, so now it's extra dangerous. It's spicy now.
Right.
And I'm just here, just it's I can't. What can I do? Nothing. Now I'm frustrated for the first time ever.
Well, I mean, once they let us out, you can, I guess, do the. I'm a big proponent of the carefully vetted harem of people that you touch in varying degrees, 3 or 4 people.
But I feel as soon as we're allowed to, I will lose all interest once again.
Oh, that's fine. Then you can
I feel it's being a teenager again, where everybody was like, don't do it, wagging our fingers in your face. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it all the time in every hole. Woo! Anarchy. But like now it's like, oh, you're an adult. Like you're 30. You're supposed to be. And I'm just like, whatever. I'm going to go read my books and sing show tunes to my cats. So I feel like I'm just being contrarian.
I will say this. I do think that dudes, cishet dudes ruin your ability to enjoy a lot of sex like you could when you were a kid. That's I think the lack of enthusiasm comes from the fact that to get penis, you then have to deal with cishet men typically. And then because I actually would argue that your sex drive has not changed any, but how you get relief now is such a hassle. It's like a supermarket 25 miles away in a blizzard. Just like, you know what, I'm just going to order in. And that becomes the logic. Like it just seems to be like, there are lots of people who, when they get comfortable and they're in a safe space, there's all types of layers to their sexuality, but first you got to get there. And a lot of dudes don't want to get there. And a lot of people don't understand that about each other. Is like someone might be really, really not impressed with you, and it doesn't mean you need to push, but it's like there are levels to people's sexuality that come from being comfortable. So it's like, you know, you might be up for lots and lots of fucking with the right person.
I mean, I guess, but like I also used to fuck people like ironically back in
Of course. Listen,
heydays of the aughts.
Oh yeah, I understand. There are 45 million reasons why someone would be having sex with someone else. I totally respect each and every one of them, but I'm saying it's just now it's different. We all change. When you're 20, you can have sex with someone for a completely ridiculous reason, and then you get older and you're like, oh, I wouldn't do that again. But you did it.
Like,
And that's
I wonder if there's somebody thinking about that time that I banged them and they're like, yeah, she must have been totally into me. But like real reason was, well, HBO 1 and 2 are just showing Catwoman and like I can't find the remote, so
sure. Sure. There was there are all manner of they're all valid. And you know what's funny? And I always say that I would say about 40% of the amount of times I've had sex is by letting someone have a weird reason to want to have sex and not getting in their way. So, you know, I've had people, the internet's out, the buses aren't running. They're just like, they were on one date and it didn't work out, so they'd like to actually get laid. I was like, sure. You know what I mean? Like all types of reasons you hear, and these reasons that, you know, when men go on Facebook, they're like, well, you know, you can't do this and you can't do that, so you don't get laid for the extra 40% of the time, where someone might just be like, you know what? I could have sex. Let's do the thing. Within the 2-hour window, they've decided to have sex that week. So, you know, it's since I was a teenager, it's been like that. I keep my mouth shut. And I don't judge anybody for randomly wanting to have sex for any of the 500 reasons somebody would want to have sex.
Yeah, I remember one guy, I used to have this restaurant that was all the way in Chinatown, and I was living in New York, and they had these steam buns, which were the best. Like, they were life affirming. And it just so happened that I was like talking about them online, and the dude whose parents own that place was like, I will bring you some. And I was like, seriously? And he said yes. And like he brought me this big like bushel of steamed buns, and we ate them, and I was just so happy that I'm like, and now we can do the sex.
Right.
It wasn't like planned. I looked pretty schlubby. He looked pretty schlubby.
Right.
He hadn't waxed his nipples, and I was just like, don't care.
Right. That's usually it. Yes. Like, if you don't talk your way out of sex, you get more sex, as long as you don't worry too much about the reasoning behind why you're getting laid by someone. If you overthink it, because, you know, I think at least cishet dudes, at least I was trained to always be in control. So the reason why you're having sex is always you. So the reason why I get laid is because I'm charismatic and I talk my way into it and I'm handsome. Just not always true. Usually not. Usually your teeth are brushed, you're washed, your fingernails are clean, and you're presenting yourself as fuckable within this 6-hour window. And that's the truth. And if you don't get in the way of that truth, you just get laid more. But like I said, where my people are not good at not talking themselves out of getting laid.
I feel like I have never tried to be sexy in my life.
Right.
But what I have been is pleasant and quiet. And just let people project whatever they want. And I'm like, okay, I've had my orgasm. Good job, everybody. We can wrap it up and go home.
Right. That's usually it, yes.
I'm under no false pretense that I have some special sexual magnetism. I'm just very honest about when I want to, and I'm not afraid to ask.
Right.
And I think that's pretty much it. There's no like secret. Like I don't have to go to the gym 80 billion times a week. I don't have to wear a certain weave or do anything. You just have to be like, do you want to have some sex? And people will be like, yeah, I can have some sex. And then you have the sex.
Right. And, as cishet dude, get out of the way.
Yeah. Though there are people that are ruining sex right now, especially during the quarantine. So apparently there have been so many reports of landlords trying to coerce their tenants into having sex with them in exchange for not being kicked out into the streets during a pandemic that in Hawaii, the state commission on the status of women has like put out an alert because it's happening so much. And what is weird about this? Like, obviously, not weird. It's criminal and horrible, and it's the most unethical thing, and they should all just have their skin peeled off as far as I'm concerned. But what was really getting me was like the discourse around this that I'm seeing online,
right?
Especially like leftist Twitter, where I've seen a lot of people going, well, if they would just legalize sex work, this wouldn't be a problem. Nah, bitch.
No, this isn't legal sex work, though.
Sex work.
Bro, no.
And even if I was a sex worker and my landlord came to me like, you can't pay your rent, can give you blowy and we'll call even. Like,
no, that's not
the power differential there.
Yes.
There's no way this isn't just coercion. Like,
right. Yeah,
I just feel like everybody's taking crazy pills and I'm not.
Well, we don't even the people who support legalized sex work don't quite understand the parameters of how sex work works.
Well, it's usually these like dude bro self-proclaimed sex worker friendly male feminists.
Right. So they don't know
I came like a bunch of days because I saw too many people make this terrible argument. Some women too. But if you're in a position of power, like say you're somebody's boss and you say to keep your job, you have to have sex with me, like that's clearly a crime. Right? Right. So if your landlord does it to you, why would you not see this as just a crime? This is not sex work.
I'll say this also. I think a lot of gentlemen who even support sex work, they kind of get caught up in some, well, I hate to say this, but silly male fantasy about sex work. And even if they're supporting it to a certain degree, some of them are supporting a small percentage to a large percentage of their own ideas about sex work is fueled by some fantasy. Because immediately hearing this is problematic. There's no soapbox statement to make in response to this about sex work. This is coercion. It's very bad. Yeah. Full stop.
And I also see like right underneath this where somebody goes, I support sex workers. So if this was legal, it'd be okay. Which I'm like, no. But then the same person in like the same Twitter breath will be like, I wish I could be a sex worker and live rent free. And I'm like, first of all, you're not living rent free. And male sex workers exist, right? Mr. Woke Twitter bro.
Right. That's what I mean. Is their understanding of sex work is still centered around their fantasy of sex work, which they think should be fine. They're saying my fantasy of sex work should be fine and legal, and that's
Yeah.
not.
And
No.
what annoys me is the minute you say, okay, so your landlord, your dude landlord now tells you, Mr. Twitter dude, that you can live rent free if you have sex with him. Are you now suddenly okay with it?
Right.
Oh, wait, now it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And like they still don't get it. And oh, the latent homophobia. And that's what I saw all last night on Twitter, and I was so mad.
Right.
I couldn't even enjoy my Disney sing along.
Right. So make sure what you support, if you support sex workers, make sure you do, if you're a gentleman, make sure you do not support a fantasy of sex work, please.
It's kind of like all the people, well, I support sex workers, that's why we should have brothels. And I'm like, you don't really support sex workers if you don't support independent sex workers who don't
Right.
have to work under usually some dude.
Right.
Who then nickels and dimes us to death.
Yes. You should believe in one person making a whole ass living via sex work without having to answer to anyone or anything. That's it.
Yes.
Full stop.
And not, I have to have sex with my landlord to not be homeless.
Right.
In the middle of a pandemic, mind you.
Yes.
In the country which has just really dropped the ball on it. So
When we drop the ball, we're trying to throw the ball at someone else, like dodgeball. We're trying to hook the ball at somebody else's head. Like we've aggressively split into two countries now. Well, several factions now, like professional wrestling, but two countries where some of us are trying not to die, and some of us are desperately trying to defend our right to not wash our hands.
Yeah. Well, I also noticed there's so much more like coronavirus themed porn.
Yeah.
Which for me, I'm like, everybody's dying.
It's too soon and too pervasive and too dangerous for us to have fun with it in really any way.
I mean,
I find the term coronavirus to be a turnoff in my porn search.
well, first of all, what's weird is like that is who typed that in to begin with. Like who was like, you know what? I want to jerk it, but I want to remain topical.
Like Law and Order, you want to jerk it to things pulled out of the headlines.
Apparently that's a thing. Corona aspired porn, which is, I guess, now overtaking. It used to be like the real estate porn where people are trying to bang because they can't afford.
Which I'm not gonna lie, I also found those problematic. It's a shame because I like problematic shit, but I like regular problematic shit, like just real talk. Just bring in a bunch of guys to fuck your wife, please. Like, can we keep it simple? Like all this extra seasoning. Like I don't need to see someone who is getting coerced by the security guard in the mall because you took a t-shirt. I don't want to see you get your mouth fucked by your landlord because you don't have rent. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see you sneaking into someone's house.
Whatever happened to it's the pizza boy and you pay him, but you're also horny.
Is this my oldening? Like, is this my old person line where I'm like, I still get off on videos where someone sucks off the delivery guy or someone answers the door naked and shocks the guy and then closes the door on him. I like those videos. Maybe I'm old now.
I feel like the spirit of those videos are different because it's kind of like, I have a naughty surprise for the pizza boy, even though it's like, don't do that unless you have consent. So yes, they are problematic. I will totally own up that those are very problematic videos, but they're not like, I'm going to be rapey. Because you open the door naked and the pizza guy, he's totally into it because he's going to get to eat the pizza too. I'm sure that's not why. But usually, for some reason, it ends with him getting pizza too, which I don't know why that's the part that I remember. but, but it's not like, oh, I'm going to take advantage of your destitution. Because I
Right.
kind of feel like the real estate porn, this coronavirus porn, it's just like, do you jerk off to that part in Les Mis before what's her name dies? And she has to try to throw that plague pussy so her landlord doesn't kick her out. Like, because that was supposed to be horrifically sad. You weren't supposed to get a boner from that. Well, it's not all bad in the porn world. So people have been adapting to the new normal, which makes me want to blow something up every time I hear that. People have started using things like Google Hangout and Zoom to have online sex parties.
I want to do one of those.
Well, I kind of feel like, is it really an online sex party, or is it just like people going, hey, we're going to share the screen while we do it, and some people are going to watch?
Real talk. That's how I would want that type. I think having that option is helpful for a lot of people, because sometimes sex parties sex parties don't have a format to such a degree that you might just walk into a hotel room full of naked white people, then you got to leave. So having the option of just sitting there with your video off and watching a bunch of people diddle themselves or have sex is not bad.
Well, this one event called Couples Playdate, it's organized by people that say all the couples are young or youngish, attractive, and are well versed in proper lighting and camera angles.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like that describes pretty much everybody that's ever been at a sex party where I'm like, I'm very bored by you, with the exception that at least they know camera angles.
Right. No.
But I also kind of feel like, like I don't get how it could be a communal vibe, because I just feel like you're performing. Like, isn't the whole point like that you're there?
My understanding is not everybody. You don't need it's kind of like performing live. You don't need to connect with everyone in the audience. Just enough people to get yourself the energy to continue performing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So well, there's also people that are making content that are like, that's based in like social distancing. So it's like they shot everything through video conference, but the performers can see each other through the video conference, and they're like recording everything. So you're seeing the performers interact with each other, even though you interact with them.
Right.
I guess that could be like, I feel like just calling it content is a lot more accurate than calling it a play party. Because if you're just watching,
right, but that's part of that. Sometimes that's what happens. I don't know. Like, I've been to parties where I just watch, and the parties where I engage. I think that's it still qualifies, even if you're just hanging out watching. It seems like it. I mean, like I said, we just have to kind of loosen our definition, because we've never done this before, or we're doing it now more often, and it's just going to be a thing that we do for a long time. So, these words can be, the definitions can be fluid, so we can hash it out. People should hit you up. People should hit us up, talk about it.
You want people to know if you think this sounds like a great idea, and you want to organize your Zoom orgy. Just remember that Zoom is not the most secure out there. There's a lot of Zoom bombers and stuff like that. So I think you're leaving yourself very wide open to be exploited if you do not safe for work content on Zoom.
Right.
Because they generate those room codes randomly, and people have found a way to hack that room generator and get in your private rooms. So if they can hack colleges, I'm pretty sure they can find your lesbian orgy.
Yeah. Security first. Well, just like any sex party. Security first.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because like stuff like Skype, which used to be where most of the camming happened.
Right.
They now are like, oh well, if we catch you doing it, you don't have your Microsoft account anymore. And now they want to connect everything to your gosh darn Microsoft account. So that is kind of a hefty threat, at least to me.
Right.
And people with Xboxes, like, I do not want to lose all my gamer points because I wanted to pop my pussy on cam.
Well,
the saddest panda.
Well, a fair question. What do you think about Google Meet that we're on since we're here? This is how we record our podcast, is via Google Meet for the audience. But yeah.
Well, ironically, I heard that the most secure place to go is Microsoft Team.
Really? But aren't they watching you?
Not safe for work stuff on Microsoft Team.
Right.
So
yeah, we're gonna have to look into this because I understand that the American business and education are also riding on these online communication tools. So are our online sex parties, which are equally important because the morale is key.
I think leave it to the professionals. I mean, StreamMate is that's going to be my steelo there for a while, and they do have a function where you can cam to cam on StreamMate, but I think you can only do it with one person.
Right.
So I don't know what to tell you guys. I can't think right now. I can't think of
this is
very or not safe for workplace where you could have like a group sex meeting, unless you're sheltering in place with a group of people that you want to have sex with, and then you could watch another group of people sheltering in place. But
one of the benefits of the extreme length of this shelter in place situation is that we have time to figure it out. This can in fact be a developing story, how to practically plan your own virtual sex party.
Sure.
I mean, so it's not something that we don't have to have all the answers now. You're not under the gun.
Yeah, just don't do it on Twitch.
I mean, unless you're a skinny white girl, then you can do it on Twitch for an unusually long amount of time. But
well, you just have to be that one whose name I can't remember. He's dating one of the people that own Twitch, so she gets to show her cooch if she wants.
Is that why she's on for 4 or 5? Like, I don't know the name. I just knew I saw somebody just kind of wiggling around in a tank top and boy shorts on a couch answering audience questions as everyone asked her every question in the world to keep her from signing off. So she was in a constant stream of inane conversation while wiggling around on a couch, talking
Was
to
she
everyone.
like blonde?
Yeah, she was
like
blonde. Yeah.
Highlights.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I can't track white people consistently like that. So she was blonde and white.
The guy wasn't paying attention.
I mean, she wasn't saying anything or doing anything. She was literally just a white girl wiggling around on the couch, which you can get 8 to a pack, unfortunately. So I did not note all the fine details.
Yeah.
Right.
It could have been.
Right. So yeah.
I should try that. I mean, I won't be able to wear boy shorts. I'll wear like leggings. And I'm gonna answer your questions, guys.
Yeah.
God.
And you know what? Go on.
That's pretty much all I got. I don't know what they talk about.
They talk about, they get asked every question in the world, as far as I can tell, because everyone's trying to keep masturbating, and then they have to keep the energy going. So it's like these long stream of
While we're talking about these girls, you know what I just found out?
what?
E-girl is not a cute euphemism for cam girls anymore.
Oh no, e-girls is I think it's a bit of a like a slur now. Like you are insulting someone when you bring it up. It's one of those dude bro language turns, isn't it?
Kind of just like calling them emo, because basically it's like you have pastel hair and you talk like a baby on TikTok and you're an e-girl.
Oh,
apparently.
that one. Oh, okay. Then we skip that. Okay. From my understanding, e-girl it used to refer to girls who streamed with their with no bras on and stuff, and the girls that the guys hated, even though they were jerking off to them just the same, because they weren't real gamers, even though they were.
Oh, yeah, the guys who were like, "Oh, this hot girl is taking away my views," even though I'm just washed.
Right. It's like, no, you weren't losing out to titties. You just didn't have the audience, and you discovered that titties has a substantial audience, which historically, titties do draw more than your white ass playing a video game, typically.
Yeah. And also, they got real mad when women would stream without titties, because Sasha Grey, who used to be an adult actress, she's on Twitch like every other night.
Right.
But she's not showing any skin. She's like, she actually just wants to play. And she's like hardcore League of Legends.
Right.
And they're like, show your tits.
Right.
And she's like, can't, because I'm playing a game now.
Right.
She's like, Google them. Like, they're there.
Right. Right. Our opinions, cishet dude opinions are strange. It's very much like asking a 3-year-old what they want for dinner. A 3-year-old will tell you anything and then not even follow through. So they might say they want macaroni and cheese, and then you bring them macaroni and cheese and they'll throw it because they said they wanted a quesadilla when they didn't. And then you'll bring them a quesadilla and they'll think that it's a pancake and they'll throw that to the ground even though it was a quesadilla, but it's shaped like a pancake. So it's clearly a pancake, and they didn't fucking want pancakes. They wanted a fucking quesadilla, and you gave them fucking pancakes. They threw that to the ground. That's us. That's us. So yes, we don't know what we want. We speak loudly and confidently, knowing full well we know nothing about what we want, and then get mad when we don't get what we want, even though we don't know what we wanted in the first place.
Yeah. I had somebody who found me initially on StreamMate, and then they're like, hey, did you used to be on like another website? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like playing The Sims and, just twitching, I guess. And he's like, so you do a show? And I'm like, no, it's Twitch. You can, if you wanted that, don't be on Twitch.
Right.
And he got angry. Like, he was upset. And when I banned him, he found me on Twitter to yell at me for banning him off my Twitch for asking for a cam show. And I was like, there's time and a place. Why are you so upset? When clearly you already know of a place where you can access that from me.
At some point.
Playing The Sims.
At some point, you're trying to buy baby clothes at a Wendy's. And if you persist, then the cops have to come and tase you up. It just is the way of the world. I would say I don't think he knows how this all works. And yeah.
And what's even weirder is people who I met on Twitch who don't know that I performed on StreamMate, and they'll ask me like, oh, can you wear some bamboo earrings? It'd be so great if you played The Sims wearing bamboo earrings. I'm like, you just made it weird, dude. You just made it so weird.
I've said it before on other episodes of the show. I do find it strange that we are trying to we're trying to force the things we masturbate into the things that do not want to be masturbated to. It's like we have so much porn, and we have so much porn. And my favorite thing is my favorite thing is the porn algorithm. So when you go to your favorite porn site, a butler comes out and presents you with 8 videos based on your previous selections that you're sure to like, sir. You'll find delectable. But yet still, we run down people doing other shit and ask them to take their tits out while they're doing other shit.
And I just feel like, okay, if I'm playing The Sims or Animal Crossing or whatever, like, you can't do both.
Right.
Trust me, I've tried because StreamMate they did it so you could use any encoder you want.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm already set up with StreamMate, with Streamlabs OBS. So I was like, I'm just gonna play The Sims, and I don't even have the mods where people get naked, but they thought I might have, so people were tipping me to be like, show us her boobies, and I was like, they're all wearing bras and underwear that you can't really take off.
Right.
Like linking me to mods like I didn't know they existed.
Right. Yeah. I just don't. I find it peculiar that we need to still put titties in everything like it's 1994. Like, I understood when we didn't have universal access to titties and we didn't have the titty algorithm, that you needed to sneak in your titties however you could. I understood
That just reminded me of I got threatened by a hacker this week. Somebody sent me an email and it was like my name and like an old password to like get my attention. They're like, we have your internet browser history and we have video of you browsing adult sites and blah blah blah. And I was just like, did you at least Google my name?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I got one of those.
And I was just like, everybody does this. Like, you should have done this in 2010 when people gave a crap.
Most annoying thing was me is if because of my long distance relationship, there are copious amounts of videos of me masturbating. My phone is just not something you
copious amounts of videos of me masturbating.
Right. And well, not, you know what's funny is
like asking somebody if they have a selfie on their phone.
You know,
yes, we all do.
You know what's funny? Not as many people do as you think. It's one of those things where I've always say that, and then a few people chime up as like, I ain't got it like that on my phone. It's one of those things where it's shocking when you do it so much that other people don't at all.
In the year of our Lord, where half the population is on Grindr,
right? And we all
have them.
I think a lot of people have them, but I think
literally have a folder on my phone just for them for when somebody wants to sext me, and I'm just like not in the mood. So I'm like, you're not getting brand new ones, but you're going to get some golden oldies.
I mean, that's perfectly fine. I always get a kick out of that when I get sent those, because sometimes I'll remember, like I'll get sent the same one twice in a year. And it's like, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm like,
I've been sending dudes like the same ones every other month. You're like, and that's what you're going to get.
You're like Getty Images.
Especially if I'm doing it for like free.
I mean, you're not wrong. So I understand. But apparently not all of us do have that.
And I'm usually like, right now, it's like I'm on a couch next to my parents watching a Disney movie. Like, I'm not going to go to the bathroom and take a picture of my snooch.
That's always very funny to me when people ask that it's funny. I always ask what people are doing before I even begin the conversation. No matter what, just because I don't want to even make someone even try to think about doing anything sexual when they're doing something profoundly not sexual.
I think it's just the chaotic horniness of quarantine. People I've really only been seriously trying to sex with one person because I'm a pretty terrible sexter. Because for me, it's like I'm trying to battle his erection. I want to say the weirdest stuff to see if he can still somehow maintain arousal. And you know what? He always wins. I'm very impressed by him. But they're just so like horny that they think they're taking a break from their day. So I obviously will take a horny break if I've responded to them, because horniness has clouded their judgment. Well, because a lot of people are like working from home for the first time. So they're like, it's the middle of the afternoon and there's nobody to stop my horniness.
Right.
Which, I mean, it has to be good for cam models right now who can and have all the equipment to work and don't live with their parents. But just 24-hour horny at this point.
Right. You know.
So.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I prefer it. I try to push people towards more masturbation to navigate their anxiety and depression than, say, the millions of other less toxic, more problematic ways to get it out of their system.
It boosts your immune system.
Does
they
it?
Kind of all do that right about now.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Lots of orgasms boost your immune system.
Huh. Well, that would explain a lot then. You learn something new every day.
Yeah, like I swear, I feel like my allergies have been worse this year, and I think it's just because like
you're not masturbating.
Yeah, I can't live with my parents. It's weird. I'm probably gonna get like a bunch of like DMs or something. Like, what do you mean? Just let it loose. And I'm like, I love my parents, my super Christian parents.
I have an idea. You can say, because I find your parents don't bother you when you say you're working on like podcast stuff. So just say you're working on podcast stuff.
Well, my mom has gotten it in her head that she would be like a viral breakout star.
Absolutely.
So
not.
I don't want her to try to like be a special guest and then find out what my podcast is.
I mean, I would just tell her no. You can just, like I said, that would be an argument that I'm willing to have on your behalf. Like, it's just be like, you just be like, Aaron doesn't want you on the show. And if she wants to be like, Aaron, why don't you want me on the show? We can have that producer talent discussion. I have no issue with it.
My mom literally is like, we should do a YouTube. And I'm like, first, the fact that you call it a YouTube means no. Like, she just wants to get on like Good Morning America doing a dumb dance. And I'm like, I'm not going to. That's probably why she wants to twerk all of a sudden. He probably saw something on some stupid news show. And that's why suddenly she wants to twerk.
Listen, I appreciate it. That's how we get through this, is get weird. Your mom is getting weird in spades. She still can't be on the show. And you should use the show as an excuse to properly get a window of time so you can masturbate, so you can boost your immune system, so that you can fight the coronas before it takes all of us.
I always see like my neighbors running, and I just imagine they're running to the woods just to jizz in freedom.
I mean, yeah. I've driven at night to run errands and stuff. And every so often you will see, I've seen people fucking on their porch or jerking off in the street or whatever. And it's like, must be fun. Like it looks like a hoot. Nobody's out. Go ahead. And so, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, like I can't take it anymore. And they're just running.
Right.
Because lots of woods where I live now, which is like, I used to live in suburban New Jersey. So I'm like, I used to think there were woods, but they're really like just little government patches of land that they did not demolish. Now there's like actual for realsies woods. Like, it rained really hard a week ago and they found a skeleton, like real woods. They have vultures for some reason. I thought they were skinny turkeys.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can't masturbate in the woods near the vultures.
I mean, as long as you don't die.
That's the problem. Vultures are just waiting for you to die. And, they're fine. But I don't really want to masturbate to something that would prefer if I was dead. And it's not their fault that they would prefer that I'm dead. It's not like it's not malicious.
Like, close your eyes and think of something better, and then you could just in the woods.
Right. But it's just like, I can understand, like, if I saw a vulture and, I understand what he's thinking, and it kind of goes against, like, I'm not for long. I probably could still jizz in the wood next to a vulture. Probably. But
you have to be next to the vultures. I don't think they're going to get that close to you. And I mean, maybe you're really backed up. You could accidentally get one in the eye when it's flying, but I think that's a long shot.
I would live in the woods. I would then move into the woods and just live in the woods like Rambo. If I hit a vulture in the eye with my jizz and took it down at mid-flight, like, then this is where I belong.
You're the king.
I'm the king
Show
of
the wood dominance.
Right. I am the king. I'm the master of my domain. I am the king of this woods. I am the king of this area. I have made it clear. My dominance is clear and unquestioned here in these woods. And now I'm here now, and I would just stay out there until we got a vaccine, or I'd just be in the woods.
Jizzing.
Not even. I wouldn't have to do it again. All the other animals would understand. Word would travel fast.
You'd like meet a mountain lion, and she'd be like, I don't want
right.
smoke.
Right.
Just back away slowly.
I'd have my back to someone. I'd have my back to a bear, and the bear would be sneaking up on me, and then I turn around and reveal myself, and the bear would be like, "Oh shit, my bad, man. My bad, man. My bad. I listen. I don't want. I don't listen. I'll go. And bear leaves because master of your domain.
Oh. I have felt levity for the first time in a while.
That's right.
I hope you too, and our listeners. So, if you've learned any lessons, it's survival skills, jizz in an animal's eye.
If you take it down, it's asserting dominance. The other animals will see, even if they're not making themselves present. They saw your act of dominance.
They'll be impressed.
Dominate.
I'm pretty sure it's in a book somewhere.
I thought that's how Tarzan started. Isn't that why that baby was left in the jungle? Because his dad jizzed on something's eye in the woods, and then his dad ran off and abandoned them, and he was just raised by wolves or some shit. Like, isn't that Tarzan?
Mowgli was raised by wolves. Tarzan was raised by gorillas.
Right, because he abandoned his boy because he jizzed in a tiger's eye and then ran off to, be king of the jungle and left everything behind, including his poor boy. But those gorillas had large hearts and took care of that boy and raised him to be a very, very athletic, dreadlocked white man.
I want to know what committee thought that was okay. And I do notice that like Disney does not mention Tarzan like ever. Like they just want us to forget.
I imagine white writers' rooms were a thing 10, 50, 40, 50 years ago. Like those had to be a hoot because everything you thought of was considered fine. You had no guidelines. You had no policing. There were no groups to consider.
Company was like, we're going to make this story about Africa. Who should we cast? Oh, Ferris Bueller. Yeah, Africa. I'm sorry. I'm just holding that in for a while. We got Disney Plus, and I'm watching a lot of Disney movies.
Listen, I understand.
I have issues.
No, listen, I understand. Classic movies are problematic. So yes, it's fair. That's why if someone be like, that's not what Tarzan was about, you jackass. What the fuck Tarzan is normally about ain't much fucking better.
Pretty much.
So if his dad jizzed in some animal's eye and ran off to be king of the jungle and left his boy with the gorillas, it is not much better. What I added is not much better. Thank you.
No. So I do have to say, I somewhat appreciate these new Disney live action remakes. Like they remade Lady and the Tramp and they made it less racist. So there's no more like singing we are Siamese cats. And they're like an interracial couple. Which I'm like, it's 1910, right? And like nobody's mentioning it. And like the black lady's from the well-to-do family, and the white guy's like doing the jazz or whatever. I'm like, nobody's talking about this.
This is the new Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, the humans as an interracial couple.
The rich black woman and a jazz playing white guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could have knocked me over with a feather. I was like, you know what? Good for you, Disney.
Right.
And there's no racist Asian cats.
Nicely done. Okay. We're all growing.
Yeah. I mean, the cats are still in it, and they are still, black Siamese cats, but they don't like have racist accents. They're American Asian cats that cause trouble. So they're like riot Asians. I don't know. Janelle Monáe sang a song. So, though she was a dog that was in jail, and I felt some way about that. But she was the jail dog with her gruffy jail dog husband. Disney Plus was a mistake. Anyway, before I go on another tangent, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
Enjoy what you heard? Become a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/unfridays and follow the network at twitter.com/unfridays. You know what makes racists really mad? Black people having a good time. And we really have a good time making these podcasts. So, if you donate, then it's technically the same thing as funding the unhappiness of racists everywhere. Awesome, right? You know what to do.